There's just so many moments in the season that we can look back on and be happy with. And I think eventually you will cleanse yourself of this disappointment. You will say to yourself, we are going to win the Conference League. You will say to yourself, we're going to do well in the league. We're going to chase the League Cup, chase the FA Cup. We're going to build, add squad members. Gibbs White might stay. He might go. But Forest will be there forever. And you know what, Matt? We might just do it. Do it. Welcome to the 200th episode of Forest All Over. This is the ultimate final weekly episode that we will ever do. We will or may be back for a bonus episode in the future, and we will keep promoting Forest All Over the world on social media platforms, but the weekly show has to end. It's been 5 years, and we're going to do our last show. How we went in, we go out, just myself and Matt, having a go at each other and seeing what's what. Before I'm surprised, Matt, with something, I'd like to just quickly say my thoughts and prayers go to all those who were affected in Liverpool on Monday. Horrendous incident. Matt, let me tell you that you always say I don't prepare anything. Well, today I prepared something for you. Have a look at this for our last episode.
I'm assuming that I've just joined in some sort of massive argument, as per usual.
It doesn't help Nottingham Forest, Matthew. It doesn't help Nottingham Forest. It doesn't help your parking fines. And I'll tell you one thing.
But my co-host, Christopher, has no imagination and is worried that you'll all turn off because there's an intro.
I've also got a beer as well.
You've got a beer. I knew it. But, you know, sometimes I do love you when you predict things like us winning games.
Konnichiwa.
Chris from Dubai Trickies, Dan from New Jersey, Matt Davies in the UK.
You're calling from Bahamas, right?
We just met in Shanghai.
So within 2 weeks, we had about 150 people.
Get that shot of me seeing the City Ground for the first time.
Homer in Ohio, Jordan in Toronto, and Chief in Chicago.
Football is something that connect people without borders, without hate.
Mark is all the way in Australia in a different time zone. Flag saying NFFC Japan, I think.
It's literally exactly what we wanted to do, which was bring people together.
3 or 4/5 Forest fans in the whole of Hawaii.
We definitely make up over 75%.
The last time we did this in Chicago, I think it was like 2018, and there were guys who were out till the wee hours.
The area in Nottingham that he comes from, Clifton, is where I am from.
We've got James, my cousin's in today.
We thought we've got to keep doing this.
Try to remain objective and rational about these things. We'll have to scold him for being late.
There it is,
mate.
Jacob.
That's the world famous City Ground, mate.
Where's Matthew? That's who I want.
It's Jekyll and Hyde, Matt. Jekyll and Hyde.
So, because these are like two different personalities on each podcast, is it?
We have just trashed Man United at their Theatre of Nightmares. We just beat Liverpool at Anfield for the first time since 1969. We're talking about the moon landing here. Where are they now? Both of them rolling around in the championship doing absolutely nothing.
Oh, we've just scored! We've just scored!
I'm sorry, but the listeners and the viewers on YouTube will agree with me. They're in my situation and you're there going, let's do some more, let's do some more. This beautiful day is about to begin. Very well done, Chris. I see you jumped straight for the emotional buttons before we even got started on this. You said you did some preparation though for me, and that was very nice. That was fantastic. Very well done for you, that montage that you cut together.
It's for us, but okay.
I was going to say that wasn't just for me. But no, well done. Very nice. I think that the sad thing about that is not the sad thing. You got in some very, very old stuff in there, back from I think 2006-7 era when we lived together in West London. Do you remember? I saw a clip in there of me very, very young, way before a Forest podcast. But there was a lot of content from our audio-only version that I think...
Hang on.
In another life.
in another life.
Yeah, hang on a second before you go off on me. There was loads of content. Do you know what else there was, Matt? There was that video of me screaming, going, I told you. And I wanted to get that in, but I couldn't because the background TV might have caused copyright issues. It was a nightmare. But I spent a long time on that. And it wasn't just the stuff, because you did a trailer, like helped me do a trailer at the beginning of the season. You did a very good one. This was all new stuff. And I just, for the last weekly show, I just want to do it. I thought it was nice. And
it was really nice.
Years.
It was really nice. And I don't think you realise that I actually treasure all of those memories in my head all the time anyway. This is not the end forever. We just can't commit to what is a really fun, casual podcast. But because of the way the culture of YouTubing for football podcasts has gone, and it's a very saturated market, we can't compete. So why not do our own thing? We don't have time. You and I fall out over it. Thanks for that video though, mate. I did love it. I love memories and I love nostalgia. And we've done a load of stuff and had some awesome guests. But yeah, how did you feel about the season ending?
The season ending, I mean, look, I was building up obviously to this final episode, 200. I knew it was coinciding with the season, but ultimately, it wasn't just about the podcast. I'm a massive Forest fan like you are, and I get swept up in everything. And for me, we messed up the end game. So the end of the season was disappointing. The whole season in totality, we can talk about, and that'll be successful. Matt Sell's Golden Glove. It'll be the fact that we doubled our points tally from last season, first Premier League team to ever do that. It'll be Europa Conference League, whether that's a playoff and we get through it or not. It's still European position. It'll be finishing 7th. It'll be beating Spurs back to back in both games, beating Man United back to back in both games. Hold on, you asked me a question. You're gonna let me answer on this episode. You're gonna let me speak. You're gonna let me speak. Yeah. And I'm not going to let you away with anything. It's a complicated question that has 2 or 3 answers to it. As everyone keeps saying, both things can be true. You can be disappointed with the great expectation that we failed to meet at the back end of the season, but you can also be really happy with the fact that we completely overachieved any expectations beyond our wildest dreams. If you're asking me specifically about the end of the season, I'm absolutely devastated because I really believed we were doing
stock chat about how Forest fans are confused about how they feel. And all of that is true, but Chris, tell me. It's okay. I could have put those words into your mouth. Talk to me honestly. How long are Forest players and coaching staff and fans going to rue the day that they screwed up? And we could have made history. We could have changed things on a huge scale. But for a couple of points, but for that Leicester result, how long is that going to eat away at us into next season? And will it last the season? We've had victory. What's it? Victory, the jaws of victory snatched from the clasp of defeat. You know what I'm trying to say. We're going to rue the day. I want to know how long that feeling is actually going to linger and eat us up inside.
Right. So how long is it going to be rued for? It depends on what happens next season, and it depends on a lot of people are going to get to that European phase, and if we get through the playoff, they'll probably start to hopefully forget about the feeling of being disappointed at the back end of the season, and hopefully I do as well.
So do you not think though with that, that say that we're playing our games away at all these so-called places that no one's heard of or can pronounce and all those sorts of things. We've got our away fixture. The Forest fans trying to get excited about it. And yeah, Newcastle and Villa in Europa, we're just going to keep getting drowned out, right? The noise, and we're going to keep having to put up with conversations about it being, oh, well, it's good for Forest to be in that league. But they did throw it away at the end of last season. That's what I'm talking about. I can't tell if we're going to resent this or not, or if we're genuinely going to be excited. I don't believe at the minute we can get excited about it. I'm sure I'm wrong when it comes around to it, but I'm just being honest with the feelings we have at the moment, right?
Well, that's how you feel. I'm very, very disappointed. I break the season down as best I can in my head to make myself feel better about it, because I look at the start we had was brilliant. Second half of the season wasn't good. Even that January, February, kind of March period before we won those 3 games in a row was really poor. So if you break it down and say, okay, we had 19 games second half, we won 7 of them. The second half of the season in totality was poor. Not just the last 8 games, but the last 8 games were really poor. And I don't know how I'm going to feel until we start investing and seeing what players come in. And you know what? We won't really know how we feel till we see the real implications. When you see a team like Man United, who have just been turned over in the Europa League by Spurs, who are apparently the bottlers of the world, and now you see them literally today linked with Cunha coming in, Mbemo's potentially going there, Eze and Delap, and they're able to buy, even in the position they've been in. That's what really scares me, because if we'd made Champions League, we would have been in that conversation. And that is what irritates me the most.
And that's what irritates Marinakis. That's what irritates Marinakis.
I'd say so, yeah.
Because the thing is, Chris, we can say all we like, Man United, no matter how badly they do, they could get relegated, and it would, because of the tenure, because of what they've been since their heyday or their heydays. Every year and every set of players that joins there it's worth it in case they're the next Man United stars. So no matter what happens, they'll always have that pull. It's insane what's happened because of that era in the 90s, the shift of football in Sky and the explosion of it globally on the internet, as in the Premier League. Man United they've timed it so well. They've timed it so well. And yeah, City muscled their way in before the rules came, and Chelsea before that. And it sort of set the sort of standard which has now become etched in everyone's understanding of the Premier League, which irritates me when we still get I find it so tedious, the game sometimes, when it's like, well, you need to know where you are as a club. And I thought, well, it defeats the point of competition, doesn't it? When this whole idea that players want to go to bigger clubs, it's like, why wouldn't you want to? Well, I know why, because it's about money, and this very.
It's a PSR issue as well. You look at Villa; they're going to have to sell players to stay within, and teams like Man United, who are apparently losing loads of money, can just go out and buy again, because the way PSR is set up, unfortunately, protects the richer clubs who were already rich before the rules came in, like you just said. But in terms of, to go back to your first question before this, when you said to me, "Oh, will we rue it? Will it be a missed opportunity for us? How long will we rue it for?" I don't know, but I suppose the answer lies within how well we start next season. And if we start well, then we'll look back and go, okay, we can potentially win a trophy here. I think everyone's saying the same thing, which is, look, not just, oh, wow, you could maybe win the Conference League. It's, no, we should win the Conference League, or we should be at least in the final. And then it's like, what does that do to our league form? And for me, if we end up going far in the Conference League and get in the semi-final, if our league form drops off, I'm not going to be happy. I'm not going to be unless we win the Conference League and finish 15th, I'll take it. But I'm not going to be happy. I want our league form to continue. And in order to do that, it's going to be very, very difficult. So it's going to take investment. And like you said earlier, Marinakis won't stand for it. And that's a good thing. That means he's ambitious.
Oh, he's class. He's class. Marinakis is just class. I love him. I love everything about him.
You saw what he did with Olympiacos. He won the Conference League for them, and now they're in the Champions League. He's going to keep doing the same with Forest and keep pushing us forward. So it gives me great comfort that's going to happen. And you know what? The investment this year, I'd say we get 9 or 10 players in, because we're going to need the squad. It's not just about...
Oh, there'll need to be a massive refresh. There's no way Nuno can achieve anything near what he's achieved this year with the same set of players. There's no way that... I don't understand that. Do you really think it's possible?
With the same... You mean...
Say he kept Morgan Gibbs-White, the exact same group of players, and added one or two good players. Do you think Nuno could recreate what he did this season? I feel like that's impossible from a mentality point of view.
I think it was an impossible task to start with, and he did amazing. And I think going to next...
No, that's another question. The question is, could he recreate it with the same group of players next year? I feel like...
He needs a squad, and he'll need another striker to back up Wood, because Wood had an unbelievable season, which won't necessarily happen again. So no, he definitely needs players.
It needs a big shift in playing style, personnel. Like the sort of umsing and ahhing of getting rid of Morgan Gibbs-White is such a big part of our identity at the moment. It's like he needs to go. We need to rebrand almost, don't we? Like, I've heard a lot of people talking at the minute about it being built around Sangari. How exciting could that be?
Provided he stays fit, yeah. I mean, of course, he's played brilliant the last 4 games. We've always known there was a player in there, but he just hasn't managed to stay fit. So that's the real question. He's also a 6/8, so he's a different profile to Gibbs-White. So we're going to have to replace Gibbs-White or push...
Yeah, but I think it's about a shift in playing style.
Right?
Yeah, we might play a different formation potentially, yeah.
We need to, don't we?
Well, it depends what players we get in.
It didn't sustain. It didn't work.
It sustained pretty well.
No, Chris. Every time we went a goal down, apart from one game, it screwed us over. That's not sustainable.
No, it's definitely not sustainable. We need
to change the style.
Potentially, yeah. I'd say it depends. I don't know what Nuno wants to do. We don't just need one style. We can't just go out there and play 4-3-3 or play 4-2-3-1 like we did this year. We need to actually have 2 or 3 different styles of play to break teams down. We need to do an Aston Villa. We need to sell. If we're going to sell Morgan Gibbs White, we need to bring in quantity as well as quality, like Villa did, and then pushed it right to the last. We need to have 3 or 4 different ways to win a game. That's the thing. We need to have 3 or 4. We've only had one real way to win games this year. Just get the lead and hold the lead. When we go behind, we got to try and fight our way back somehow. But teams sit in like Chelsea did, and we can't get in the game. So for me, it's of course we need to have 3 or 4 different ways of playing. That's maybe more. We need to plan A, B, C, and D.
I think we sell Cho as well.
I think that's the stupidest thing I don't think we should sell Callum Hudson-Odoi. No. Why would we do that when we're in need of wingers? We need 2 more wingers. You want to sell another one and then we need 3? What are you talking about?
I just don't know I think it needs quite a big shift around in order to... I just think it's going to be hard for the mentality that is built, the fall from grace that must be felt by this squad. I don't know. I imagine it's, unless you do some drastic, like big personalities need to shift so that we can rebuild with a fresh burst of enthusiasm, I guess, and let Luno.
I think the problem. Yeah, you go on. You talk. Do you want me to jump in?
Oh, we're just chatting.
I'll jump in. Right. I think you're
That's what usually happens with the conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you jump over me all the time lately for some reason. He wants to keep doing the podcast every now and again, but it never shows up, always jumps in, always late, always complains about it. But look, let me just enlighten you a little bit, Mr. Panic Button, okay? Matt's got the big red button beside him here. He's pressing the big red button. He's going, we need a refresh. Look, there's no question, Matt. I know what you want, and I'll give it to you. That back end of the season was just unacceptable. 8 games, you have to win less than 40% of the games to get it done. 3 out of 8 games, and you probably have it over the line. Maybe a couple more draws, it's over the line. It's not just Leicester, it's Everton, it's Brentford, it's all of it. Unacceptable. How do we fix that problem? Because usually we finish strong. That's what made me really upset is back into the last 3 seasons, Forest finished strong in the playoffs, finished strong in the relegation season. Even last season, couple of big wins away with a squad that wasn't quite ready. Nuno goes to preseason, brings us in, and then we can't finish. And we can't blame injuries because we didn't have any. We were tired though, and we need a squad. So when you say to me you're pushing the red panic button about getting rid of Callum Hudson-Odoi, I think that's crazy. I think
I'm actually not though. I'm actually not.
Yes,
I mean, this is what happens. This is what happens with you when you're playing. This is what happens with you when you leap into playing podcast host and not just having a chat with me.
Podcasters, I'm answering the question.
No, but I'm throwing these ideas out there as ideas. I don't know. It might be that we keep the same squad of players together and Sangari and Taiwo become top players in the European Conference League and we have the best season, we have an even better build. Or maybe Nuno knows exactly how to fix the mentality of the squad that have fallen from grace. I'm not saying that these are things that should happen. I'm merely asking you, what do you reckon? Is it going to be like that? And you're sort of taking it as a written in stone prediction.
Well, we're obviously not pressing the panic button because there's already conversations with Nuno about a contract extension. That's pretty immediate. That's been widely publicised. In terms of losing players, I would say we're going to lose 1 or 2. One of them, most likely, Morgan Gibbs White to Man City, because that's the noise we're hearing, right? And we'll hopefully get a big fee for him, maybe a player in return, okay? I don't want to lose Gibbs White. You know how much I love him, but ultimately we know that might happen. Everywhere else, we might lose 1 or 2. I mean, I know people are scouting Aina, and I know people are scouting Hudson-Odoi, but we're not going to sell Alanga because he's been brilliant and we need him and we need our wingers and we actually need to add more wingers. So what do I think is going to happen? I'll tell you what I think is going to happen. I'll dice it up for you and put it in a plate and hand it to you like it's your dinner, all right? Here's what's going to happen. You've
had your fingers near it. I'm not going to eat it, but carry on.
No, well, you can have a drink and sniff at it and smell it, and then I'll take it away and I'll eat it myself. Here's what's going to happen. This is my predictions. I'm pretty bad at podcast predictions, as we know, but here's my predictions. I think that we are going to keep the same team together, barring 1 or 2 players. All right? We have money to invest anyway, so once we sell 1 or 2 of those players for big money, hopefully we keep Murillo, because if you get rid of Murillo and Morgan Gibbs White, you're getting rid of your 2 sort of generational talent players. So hopefully we keep him if we get rid of Gibbs White or vice versa, right? I then think we're going to build. We need a backup goalkeeper, and we know that. We need another wing back, but we're going to try and keep Aina and Williams, hopefully. Callum Hudson-Odoi we'll keep Alanga. Hopefully, we'll keep both those players, because then we need more wingers, because Jota and Sousa weren't really favoured at the back end of the season. So obviously, we need someone to take that next step. Chris Wood, we're going to need 2 strikers backing him up. One of them to compete with him and maybe take his place. Even though he got 20 goals this season, I still think we need 2 more strikers and Chris Wood to really mount a challenge to do well in the league next year. As far as midfield goes, if we push Anderson into the 10, we need someone to replace that 8 position. And obviously Sangari can come in, but we're going to need backup. We're going to need squad, because we're going to be playing Thursday, Sunday if we get through that playoffs. If we get through that playoffs, we don't know. But we're going to be playing Thursday, Sunday. So we need a massive squad. Chelsea almost had a double turnover squad in the midweek. So we're going to add about 8 or 9 players, in my opinion, and we're not going to lose many. But if we do lose many, it'll be squad players here or there who end up going off, like, Bolly, etc., maybe Sosa, and probably maybe one big marquee player like Morgan Gibbs-White. That's what I think is going to happen.
Sosa and Jota could be brilliant for the Conference League, though. That's the thing.
Yeah, but we need better than that for the league, and we're not just playing the Conference League. How many games are in the Conference League? 3 or 4, 5, 6, 7 until you get to the final? More? I don't know. But we've 38 games in the Premier League. We've the FA Cup and the League Cup to think about as well, Matt. Right? So we need squad depth. Everyone's talking about it. That's the facts. We didn't get anyone in January, which isn't, I'm not blaming January. I'm just saying that means we have money to spend on top of whatever we get for whichever marquee player, probably Morgan Gibbs-White, we sell. You happy?
It's the way that I'll get excited about Forest again as I see a shift in playing staff, because I just think that I got really tired of sort of knowing what to expect for the past few weeks. It's just not fun. I mean, it was just hope constantly, and I think that's what's fatigued me a bit and disappointed me so much, because this idea that we should be proud, right? Do you honestly feel pride? Honestly, you go, oh, given the whole season, I should feel proud. Do you?
Do I feel proud of the season at large, or what's if it's a question, I'll answer it anyway.
I want to know if you honestly feel pride that we're in the European Conference League. I might do. I think I do. I'm just trying to work out if I do or not, because it's definitely overshadowed with disappointment.
Yeah, it's hard because it is overshadowed with that last bit of disappointment, because Sunday was like, that's the final game. You have the golden ticket. You're in Willy Wonka's chocolate factory and they're kicking you out.
Well, I knew United would win as well. I did say that. I was like, United.
Yeah, you did.
I knew they would. After they lost, I was like, they'll beat us, they'll beat Villa. It's not even like I'm going, oh, and we had a favour done for us. I knew. Now I'm playing Oracle. I wasn't surprised that United beat Villa. So that's coming. It's definitely happening.
To be fair, Matt, their goalkeeper got sent off before half-time. It made a massive difference in the game. But anyway, yeah. Well, anyway, sorry. The question you asked me was, am I proud of this season? Absolutely, mate. Like, absolutely brimming with pride of the season at large. Me and you went to the Bournemouth game day 1, and we conceded late, and you went, oh, here we go. Yeah, of course. Forest conceded to Bournemouth, and it felt like awful. We went and beat Southampton the next week, and then we drew Wolves. We still drawing at home at the beginning of the season. We did have
I told you those 2 results would cost us.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, you knew everything, didn't you? You idiot. Did you know everything was going to beat Newcastle as well? Right.
No, but Morgan Gibbs-White came out after the Wembley and said, right, we've got 5 cup finals now. You know what I noticed? Whenever the chips are down, apart from that day, apart from coming out of Wembley, but that's a slightly different occasion, none of the players ever really come out and give a... They're only willing to come out and talk to the press when we've won. What's that about?
So, I don't know. Maybe it's a media thing that they send certain players out to talk to the press afterwards and certain not, because they know they're trying to protect them as well from the media. Do you know what I mean? But I don't know.
But aren't they grown professional athletes? I don't
know. I just don't.
We're going to play 5 cup finals and then lose them all. It's like, and then what? It just makes you sort of stop believing the words they say, I think. Imagine if they... Next time someone says that to Forest fans, they go, yeah, all right. We'll believe that when we see it. No?
I mean, you can take it whatever way you want. The first question you asked me was, am I proud of the season at large? The answer is absolutely, because it's been an absolutely unbelievable season. Has it been a really, really, really disappointing end? Yeah, I actually can't quite believe, and I had to convince myself that this was the truth today. I actually can't quite believe that with all the opportunity we had, that we put ourselves in it, that we actually did let it go, because 57 points, 8 games to go, you finish on 65, and you have a fixture list that you can cruise to the end. And the home form is always good, and it wasn't. We didn't win one of our last 4 home games. We only scored 2 goals. That was against Leicester. The other games we didn't score at all. I mean, it was a really poor end, and that's the truth.
I'll never forget you saying, Matt, if we beat Spurs away, we're getting Champions League. If we beat Spurs away, we're getting...
Because I believed it. And what's wrong with that?
Nothing. I'm not having a go at you. I'm just remembering.
No, but stop remembering and start listening for a second. Of course, that's possible. But like, it's such a complicated question when you mix it in with, are you proud? I am very, very, very proud. The season's been unbelievable. We're the first team in Premier League history to double our points tally, Matt. That's huge.
But I guess I'm confused because I'm not filled with a feeling of pride. I guess it's kind of cool. I go, yeah, that's Forest done all right, but I wouldn't say that I'm proud. I go, it's cool what we did this year. It's cool. It's really cool, man. Fair play. But
your expectations are up your arse and through the roof then, mate. You are an absolute clown.
Well, no. They got pulled up there when we were third in the table for so long. And as you just said, after we beat Spurs, we had a run-in that was really doable.
Yeah,
I don't think it was too much to expect that we would beat Leicester at home. I don't think that is too much to expect.
I never said that.
I think you're abusing me there. That's actually abuse.
Shut the hell.
Thank God it's the last episode, because I'd have had you cancelled.
Okay. Well, I think you're abusing me for not giving me enough credit for that video I arranged at the beginning. Right.
I knew you wanted me to get soppy about it. I loved it.
Right. Look. Anyway, can we just? The problem is I knew you'd bring me on here, and I'm willing to walk this shadowy line with you. I knew you'd bring me on to talk about the disappointment because you're trying to find the truth. The truth is the best way for me to sort of manage my disappointment, which was sheer devastation at the end. And I think at halftime, I said this on another podcast, I went into Carina and Martinez was sent off. I said, this is a chance. And we played reasonably well first half. And I genuinely believed we'd get it over the line. I said, in my heart, I thought at least we would get a draw at that point, which would have put us in Europa League. And we just didn't match up to it. And we were tired and we ran out of steam. And I don't think it's acceptable that we ended the season the way we did. But the season at large, we only went into third place in December. So the first 4 months, we were up and down, up and down. Me and Will were at the Ipswich game when we beat them 1-0. We'd lost the previous game, or maybe 2 games, and we beat Ipswich. And then we lost the next one. And we were like, oh, God, that was a big win against Ipswich. That was the end of November, Matt. So the expectation soared when we won those 6 games in a row. And then we only won 2 and 7 between January and February. And one of them was against Southampton. The other one was a 7-0 against Brighton. So we were, the second half of the season, I always thought there was potential for it to slip away. So I guess I tempered my disappointment and try and look at the season as a whole, look at all the things that we did achieve, and then realize that we have an ambitious owner that can build on that. So I am brimming with pride. You can think it's cool if you want. You absolute clown.
Pride, I'm actually really curious to see how they handle the mentality shift, because I think if we as fans are feeling it, there's no way those players are going back into that training ground and easily, I guess that's what makes them pros, right? To be able to just compartmentalize that and move forward without, I don't know, I just think it's quite a big hit for a young athlete who wants to be that close to I don't know, it's impressive and it's curious to me to see how that's dealt with in the coming months. And that's why I think we just need, quite a big overhaul of personnel, sadly. Do you remember the days where it was like, oh, you don't want to change too much personnel because then you have to gel the squad, you have to do that. It feels like it's normalised now that...
No.
What? You don't remember the days?
No, I just don't agree. I just don't agree that we need an overhaul. Like I think what you've got to look at is, look at Aston Villa, right? Aston Villa finished 7th in the Conference League the year before last.
But it's okay, but we didn't have the same. The context was different, Chris. The context,
please let me finish.
They didn't fall into it.
I'll let you finish, but be realistic with the comparison you're making.
Oh, you're not letting me speak.
Well, I am. I mean, it's so drastic and dramatic.
It's not drastic. I just want to finish my sentence, and then you can pick it apart if you want. Like, I'm not going to... I let you drone on for ages because I sit back and let you speak because you're not the one that's going to edit this. So just, do you want me to talk or do you want to talk? Go ahead and tell me which one you want.
I mean, it's mad that you don't let me just interject with the odd comment. It's go on, say your point.
I don't mind you interjecting, but like, I hadn't even really got to my point before you jumped in. Listen, we play Aston Villa. You're going to say the context is different. It's definitely different, of course. Like Newcastle is different, but Aston Villa were near the bottom of the table. Steven Gerrard was in charge. Emery took over. They soared up and were overachieving for the team of what it was doing at the time and got Conference League. Similar to us. The difference was it was in the midst of a season. Can you let me speak? I'm not done. You can go back and pick it apart now. Okay. After that, they got Champions League. Last season, they fell away at the back end. They didn't win any of their last 4 games, I believe, but they still managed to creep in and get Champions League and hold on to it, unlike us. But they actually did fall away and didn't win any of their last 4 games, all right? You didn't do your research on that, did you? Didn't want the comparisons coming out. But anyway, my point is that Villa are something that we can look at and kind of aspire to. Sold Grealish for 100 million, tried to reinvest it. We're falling away, came into the Conference League. Emery's an incredible manager. I think he's one of the best in the league. And then obviously I've made Champions League. We haven't made Champions League. I think that is kind of what we probably, look, I think Champions League will be a bit of a difficult task now next year, but we need to aim to be kind of like Villa and build and those players like John McGinn, who were in the team throughout those years, I think that they have that experience, to go to your first point, that experience in themselves to go, right, I've been here before now. And I think we need to keep the players, keep this mentality of they're at the top and then they drifted away at the end. But you have the experience of being at the top in the league. So we need to keep a lot of the group together, in my opinion, and then just add extra experience and extra talent on top of it. So, yeah, no, we don't need an overhaul. I think that's ridiculous.
Great. Well, thank you for your response. I guess your comparison, though, there's so many things wrong with what you're saying. And the first one is the context was completely different. They achieved Europa Conference in a way that we did fallen into it against our will when we were pretty much set up to achieve something far greater and far quicker and ahead of our time, as we all know. And at second best, get into Europa. And then we fell into the least. We got the bronze ticket instead, whereas they achieved the bronze ticket. Second point is you're following it all up with, well, then they went on to do this, this, and this. So what you're saying by that is, well, what happens if we don't go on to achieve Champions League at the end? Suddenly you go, yeah, well, that was a mistake. Like you're now saying, well, we have to achieve what Villa achieved to make what's happening now sort of worthwhile. It's a little bit...
Not necessarily. Like, I don't... what I'm trying to say is, I don't think it's going to be next year that we go on to go straight into the Champions League at all. I mean, we could do, but I don't think so. I think we're going to be... Europe is going to... we're going to struggle with the squad we have in Europe to keep the league form as close to what it was this season.
Well, we proved that we can't. At the minute, we're on a complete downward trajectory. I don't think we can rely on it being anything like what it was.
Well, we need more. We need more squad members, Matt. That's the point.
And a new plan and a new system.
A new plan, yeah, but obviously not a new. Well, maybe a new system, but not a new manager because Marinakis is back too. No,
not a new manager. I'm not saying that. But it's a lot of change, is my point, because what we're proving is that we're on a downward, in terms of playing and in terms of games and points and goals, we are on a downward trajectory, really, and have been for a long time. So now's the chance to really, and I use the term wholesale change, maybe I don't mean that, but it's not maybe far off that.
Well, I just think it's going to be an addition of 8, 9, 10 players. So, your starting players, some of them will become squad players naturally by the competitiveness of adding those players, but you're going to keep them because you need good squad, a really talented group of players. So the first 11...
Do you reckon people are going to write on this video, thank God it's the last one, with some of the stuff people have written before about...
Well, I have a review corner for you.
So. It's so nasty. It's not nasty. It's so silly how we put ourselves out here and I come across as negative as I do. But it's really... Because there's nothing else to talk about, right? Let's try just being positive. Come on. Isn't it amazing how well Forest have done this season?
I can't tell when you're in or you're out, but like ultimately we'll do a review corner where we talk about some of the comments and things we said before, but with what you're saying there, let's talk about the positivity. I've tried to do that with you for the last 8 weeks. I mean, after Everton, you came to me and told me that everything had blown up and I was like, there's still 7 games left in the season or 6 games left in the season. So when we went and beat Spurs, well, you weren't necessarily right because we went and beat Spurs the following week. But my point is that, it's really easy as a Forest fan because we hark back to the days when we'd have the Yeovils and the Blackpools and the Swanseas, and it's just that, we balled it. But ultimately, we've had 2 massive games this this last 10 years, the playoff final and the last day of the season this season. We won one of them, the other one we didn't. They didn't face up to it. And it's as simple as that. And then we just got to move on. The athletes aren't going to be thinking, oh, what happened 20 years ago against Yeovil? Forest has this culture. They're not going to be thinking like that. Spurs fans might have going into the Europa final because it's just everywhere in the media is about Spurs being a bottling team. Now, hopefully for them, they broke that duck. But I think when you say, oh, let's do a bit of positive, it's 40 minutes on the clock here, right?
Well, I'm trying to make the point. I'm like, let's just be positive for 2 minutes. Isn't it amazing how well Forest has done this year?
Yeah, it's not amazing. It's absolutely incredible. Nuno should be manager of the season. It's absolutely incredible, Matt. It's absolutely unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
No, you're not.
We were able to enjoy imagining being what it would be like in the top 4 for quite a lot of it as well. And that was amazing. I mean, so good to imagine, right?
Well, yeah, I want you to just like...
Wasn't that great? I hope we get to do it next year. Do you?
Do you know what, Matt?
Do you? I'm not being facetious. I'm trying to...
No, I know, and I do. I just like...
Do you hope that we get to be in the top 3 for a lot of next season, even if it means we slip out at the end? How good will that be? How much fun will that be?
Unbelievable. I don't think it's impossible. I don't think it's impossible, but I think my thing is, I was going to ask you 3 questions and you told me you didn't want to answer them. So I'm not going to ask you them, right? But my thing was going to ask you, who's your favorite player? Like everyone does, who was your player of the year? Who was your most improved player? Whatever. What was your favorite goal of the season? What was your favorite moment? And I think in asking you those questions, it might rejig or reshock you into remembering what was so special and so amazing about this season. For me, my favorite moment was just as you touched on there. We were technically in a title race at one point, and you even said it on this podcast. When we played Liverpool, we were 6 points behind. If we beat them, the gap was close to 3, and we were the only ones at the time competing with them. Arsenal were kind of shaky and falling away. And I want to rejig your memory and ask you your favorite moment and ask you your favorite goal, because I think it might actually help.
I don't think I'd ever have said this, but I think because I was at the 7-0 victory, I have to say that was a great moment because of just how dominant we were in that game. That was a great day where I was like, wow, we're sweeping them aside. Because a lot of our other goals were like, felt lucky, felt fluky.
Yeah, I mean, but like also the West Ham game, you were at that game too, 1-3-0, destroyed them.
Yeah, watching us beat West Ham 3-0 was a big plus. And you know what was particularly funny was when they had a player, I think it was Alvarez. Is he called Alvarez?
He got sent off.
And he walked all the way. He walked all the way up to the Trent End corner, thinking that was the way to walk off the pitch. By the time he got up there, you almost had the whole fan base, substitutes, play, everyone trying to whistle him off. He's like, "What? I'm walking off." And then they pointed to the tunnel. He had to walk all the way back down. He took it very well. It was very funny.
Okay, well that is a nice, funny moment. Maybe that's your favorite moment of the season. Who knows? But you've just mentioned 2 things off the top of your head there: Brighton, West Ham, like. Me and you were at a Chelsea away game where we hung on with 10 men, all.
That was the highlight.
That was cool. Going to a Chelsea away with you was a buzz. Because especially when we were arguing about long throws, and by the thing that shut our argument up was Chris Wood's goal right in front of our noses.
Yeah, me and you were going back and forth about, you were like, we've got to stop long throws, we've got to get the ball in. I go, no, we've got to go long throws. And you're like, with the set piece, we've got to put it in. And before we knew it, the ball was in the back of the net. And me and you just started celebrating as we were kind of after the argument. It was crazy.
It was like, yeah. It was also the turning point for Matt Sells, that game.
He was brilliant.
Oh, it felt like it. It felt like he became what he went on to become.
And, like, these are the positive things. You can then say he's won Golden Glove. Like, when have you ever heard of a Forest goalkeeper winning the Premier League Golden Glove? He joined with Raya.
Joint Golden Glove.
Yeah, but with David Raya. I mean, like, that's an Arsenal's, the way they locked in. Like, it's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Another thing to be...
I want to know if anyone else thinks this. You know when you go to the fair on a Friday night when you're younger and you go on the waltzes, the way the guys that charge you the money and spin the waltzes around and walk around on the carousel as it's going, the way they move and position themselves is the way that David Raya positions himself throughout a game and goal. He sort of is on this. He sort of gallops up to the side of the goal. I don't know. There's something quite performative about the way he's goalkeeping when the ball's nowhere near him. or it's sort of in the middle? Have you seen
Oh,
it?
no,
before?
the way he moves in and out of the goal, I do know what you mean. It's almost like a dancer.
Yes, and he's like this big, long, elastic sort of thing he's got going. I'm sure there's a technique to it, but I couldn't help but watching him. Just when you were talking about Arsenal there, I was like, oh. No, you talked about David Raya. It just came back to me that.
Yeah. No, that's true. I mean, look, to go back to the positives and the season.
The waltzer.
Yeah, the waltzer.
We have to beat Arsenal again next year.
We will, and we can. Right now, let's just forget Arsenal because we didn't manage to beat them this year, unfortunately. But look at what I've just mentioned there to you. Brighton, West Ham. You're telling me the draw away at Chelsea was a big deal. So our expectations were in different places then. But Matt, for me, all you have to say is beat Man United home and away, beat Spurs home and away, beat Liverpool at Anfield, 7-0 against Brighton after we'd been crushed 5-0 the week before. Get that 1-0 win with Elanga scoring that incredible goal. That's my goal of the season, by the way. Like running the whole pitch. Chris Wood's goal away at Everton. The ball chipped over from Gibbs-White to Elanga, head volley. Like, there's just so many moments in the season that we can look back on and be happy with. And I think eventually you will cleanse yourself of this disappointment.
What's been your favorite podcast episode with me?
In the whole podcast?
Since 2020.
My favorite episode since 2020, there's a couple that spring to mind. I would say I love the Pathway episodes because they give you this like sort of guidance and they make me feel secure even when I'm always panicking inside internally. I loved the one. There was one around the playoff time where me and you were getting excited to get tickets and stuff. It might have been playoffs part 1, or maybe it was playoffs part. Maybe it was before Wembley. I can't remember. I was really excited then, and I could sense the excitement. I dug back into footage to look for the footage for that trailer at the beginning, and there was one episode that I thought was amazing. The one with Taku and Co, the Japanese fan who came all the way over. That was really special this year for me.
Do you remember the one? Do you remember the one when they're like Friends episodes? The one with the. Do you remember the one where you went in on Mark Warburton when he was the QPR manager at the time? You were Mark Warburton. I miss all the ones where you used to go in hard and with your inhibitions dropped. Without inhibition, and you just laid bare your thoughts, and we'd use those moments to open the episodes, and you'd be going. They were great monologues. That was funny when you go in hard on people like Mark Warburton for no reason. He's standing there like a clown, and they were the great good old days, I have to say.
In your eyes, yeah.
Pre-YouTube,
There's some good old bits of chat. Also the one where we choked. I was going live. I was in Turkey and we just choked and not made the playoffs with Sabri.
That was episode 10. Yeah,
that was good. It was strong.
I mean, it was crazy because we couldn't believe that talk about a choke job. That was 3 points in the good, 5+ goal difference. There's no way a crazy swing like that can happen. It happened.
I think that's what I'm trying to get at. I think that's maybe what I'm missing or lacking when you think I'm being negative all the time, or when some of the people comment on how miserable I am, apparently. There was a joy and a fun to us expressing our rage and you were so honest and brutal about Forest then, and now that we it's such small town mentality sometimes, I think, to be, is it to do with the growth of YouTube and people actually hearing what each other is saying? I don't know, there's something about it that just gets under my skin, and that's my explanation for why I probably try and dig you out a lot, is because there was once a time when it was laid bare, and I believe it was more fun than what you have to try and do now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, listen, I'll tell you, look.
There's this well, we need to show balance now. Like we're on the BBC or something. It's like...
I don't need to show balance to anyone. I don't need to show balance to Warburton, and I don't need to show balance to Bournemouth. And speaking of Bournemouth, I'll tell you what, I got dug out pretty heavy back in January. It hit me hard. 5-0 we lost, and someone had put a clip out there of me trying to get us up for just talking to you, and ultimately it went round the houses with the Bournemouth fans. But since then, they've dropped off an absolute cliff. I think they'd won like 2-14 games coming into the last game of this season, right? You want a bit of laid bare and honesty? I have absolutely no respect for Bournemouth Football Club. They finished ninth. They thought they were on a European dream and they couldn't close the deal. You want to talk about fall-aways? That's a fall-away. Do you remember that time when we played Bournemouth back in the Championship and they said the stadium, some of it had blown down? Well, why didn't they blow themselves back to their 11,000-seater crap stadium and let Forest march on to Europe? Because that is where we're going and they're not. Bye-bye, baby. Bye-bye, Bournemouth.
Or Bournemouth getting relegated next year?
Maybe. Because their players are gone. Hobson's gone out the door. Maybe. Maybe they are. Maybe they're not. I don't know. Look, they're a good side. They have a good coach. But I hate them.
There he is. The balance is back. I like the monster more, and so does everyone listening, if they're honest. It's very funny.
I do. Matt,
Hey, when you go...
Just relax. We got to move on, okay? So I'm going to move on with this podcast. Really quickly, I want to talk to you about Morgan Gibbs-White because, look, between you and I, you've been heavily critical of him. I know you think he's great and you love him, but ultimately you've been more critical than I have. Maybe because the way I am, when I pick a player, I love him, incredibly loyal, and you've spoke to me about that. And maybe that's a problem I have. But really what I want to pick at here is Gibbs-White can go to Man City, and he probably will.
Unless they go for Eze instead.
Yeah, well, Man United are looking at Eze, unfortunately. But Gibbs-White might go to Man City. But what I want to do is, I think if I was in the room, I could potentially convince him to stay.
I agree with that. I do think if anyone could...
Well, why don't you be his agent, and I'll be me as a representative of Nottingham Forest, and I'll try and convince you to stay. Do you want to try that?
Yeah, but should I not be Morgan?
No, don't be Morgan specifically. Just be his agent, okay? Because
that's how much you backed yourself into a corner over him. You can't even improvise with me because you know you can't lose your shit.
That's not. Well, I have to also protect my real feelings inside of absolutely loving him. So let's
go. Hello there.
Hi, how are you doing? Chris here again.
Yeah. You've got a couple of minutes.
A couple of minutes.
Yeah. What did you want to talk about?
Well, I want to talk about the player that is with us at the moment, and we still have another 2 year left on his contract. And look, I know Man City have been more than sniffing about. They've probably even held talks.
You talking about Morgan?
Yes, obviously.
Oh god. Okay, go on. You got to hurry up.
Why do I have to hurry up?
Because we're about to get him in the car. We're going to Manchester.
Do you know what? I'll just talk to Morgan. Just put him on the phone. I don't want to talk to you anymore. Put him on the phone.
All right.
I'll call him.
Boy, no, he's here. We're getting in the car, like I said. Morgs, you right, mate? You got this guy's Forest fans will say goodbye, but meet me in the car, yeah? We'll get you up to Manchester. You look good in light blue, by the way, Morgs. I suppose you've been wearing it all year for Forest, but anyway. You right, mate? How can I help you?
Hey, listen, just want to quickly chat to you about something.
Yeah, go on. What is it?
You go to Man City. You're going to be a good player. You're going to win trophies. You're going to be amongst everyone else, just like Jack Grealish, Calvin Phillips, etc., etc. Hopefully, you'll have better outcomes than both of them. You are a really talented player. I see you going all the way. I think you're magic.
Yeah. I'll get paid loads as well.
If you stay with us, it's a hero's story. It's a hero's true ultimate story.
Mate, and I love you guys. I really do. I love it here. But it's about... I want to play for England, mate, and sadly, I need to play for Man City to play for England, and also I could be a hero at a big club like City. I want to win trophies and that.
I get that, but we're not done yet. Marinakis has ambition. You know that. You believe in that. You believed in that when you first came here. Just like we love Brennan, he went off and he won a medal with Spurs. They all come back. Jennings, Reid, Brennan, Des, Michael, they all come back in the end, but we don't want you to come back at the end of your career. We don't want you to go away and win everything and come back. We want you to stay here and be the legend. We want that statue outside that club. You're not just going to be a Letitia. You're going to be a Morgan Gibbs-White with us, and you're going to win things with us, and it will mean more than what you win with Manchester City. And I can promise you, by the time we're done with you, your name will be etched in history as Morgan Gibbs-White, the legend that lived. And you will be one of the best Premier League players of all time, but for one of the best and biggest clubs that has ever existed, won the European trophy twice properly. That's what you'll be. Stay with us.
can we make the away shirt light blue again next year? Because I do look good in it.
Yeah, whatever you want, mate. Whatever you want. Just sign the dotted line. Sign the dotted line. Sign the dotted line. We got time. Go. Sign.
Wow. We need to give you a job, mate, with Nuno.
Too late. I've already got a job podcasting with an idiot called Matt. Right, let's move on.
That was good, you know. I do think that you could, that would make him give up the extra 50 grand a week. I think that's true. That's great speech.
Right, listen, I just want to have a quick chat with you about Red Hot Take. We may as well do a Red Hot Take. You give me your Red Hot Take for next season. I'll give you mine. Then we'll do a review corner, and then we'll move into sort of like the FPL Forest Fantasy Fives goodbyes kind of thing, right?
Does my Red Hot Take for next year have to be a positive one?
Yes!
Okay, let me have a little think then, because I've got a lot of negative ones.
I'll start with my one.
I was going to say, I think we get relegated next year, but I won't.
No! Cut that out! Go again.
My Red Hot Take for next year. No, I'm going to go first because yours is good. I can tell from how keen you are to do one. And I've not thought about this. My Red Hot Take for next year is that we drop out of the Europa Conference League. We come in 6th anyway and get Europa the following year, and we're just playing with a kind of prowess, like, and with the respect of the media. We sort of come across like Fulham do when they're at their best, but we do it throughout, and we just
okay, fine. I mean, it's a decent Red Hot Take. Finish top 6 next year is fantastic. Do you want mine?
Go on.
We'll win a trophy next year.
I do think we're going to win the conference, but it's a boring Red Hot Take. You know?
It's not boring Red Hot Take. I'm not just saying the Conference League, man. I know why you're really disappointed, and we come full circle now. I know why you're really disappointed this year, and I know why you're really upset. It's because actually, you and I did a podcast not long ago talking about FA Cup versus Champions League. We got neither in the end. Which would we rather have? And your real disappointment lies in that Wembley trip, because I know that deep down you want what Palace had, and I think you might be able to get it. You just never know. You just never know. I think we win a trophy next. My Red Hot Take is we win a trophy next year, but it's not the Conference League.
Better. I like the way you're talking.
Bang. Right. Let's move on.
What is it? The World Cup?
Shut up, Matt. We'll move on. We'll do a review corner here. This is going to be
brutal, right?
Yeah, it's from a few episodes ago, but it felt
give me some salty stuff. And I want names, faces, and locations.
No, I'm not going to do that. Shut up. So here's one from, I'm not going to mention his name, but he says, totally unbearable listen if you just bicker like school children. That was one of them. Another one is not listened for a few weeks, as frankly no time for all Forest podcasts, Red Side, Forest Focus, Mr. On In, etc. But thought I'd listen given more important recent matches. But the tedious, fatuous bickering right from the off meant I lasted just 5 minutes. I understand that robust, combative, and usually well-reasoned arguments are your trademark, plus a bit of deliberate needling. That's what makes your podcast fun. But this one, for me, after such a long absence, was simply off-putting. And I think it's totally fair, to be honest. That episode was a disgrace.
Go on. Next one.
You want me to move on to another one? Another bad one? Like, do we want to keep doing this?
Yeah, I'm waiting for one that actually gets under my skin. These are just like people that have got time to write paragraphs on YouTube.
Well, listen, that was a long-term listener who made a very, very good point. I think it's just something that you need to bear in mind. If we argue for the first 10 minutes, people are just going to switch off. But look, it's the last weekly episode ever.
My objective isn't to let's have an argument with Chris. I sometimes think you're trying to contrive one out of me. Trying to have a discussion with someone who isn't pretending to be a flipping pundit.
I'm not pretending to be a pundit. I literally just want you to let me finish my sentence. They might be long-winded, but you've lasted 5 years to now.
Yeah, but
last one more episode.
I think it's great what you've got a brilliant voice on Forest Focus. You're really great on that, and mate, that's a great show. But that's what I mean. That occupies that space. You don't need to do, huh?
I'm not even talking. It's not about that. It's just about. me and you talk like this anyway on the phone, like we do.
Yeah, no, you don't monologue. You let me cut you off, or you don't shout at me for cutting you off. That's different.
Because I'm so tired. Like my wife said there, she was on the road with us while we were talking. She's like, I'm so exhausted with you guys arguing. Like, it's just exhausting, especially when it comes to Forest. You used to listen. Now you think you know what you're talking about. Believe you me, you bloody don't. You haven't a Scooby-Doo what's going on half the time. You don't even know where the ball...
I know I don't.
Anyway, let's move on. FPL, the winners are Macaroni and Cheese FC, Andrew Walters. We finished first in our FPL league.
Oh, wasn't there more cutting?
Bit of feedback.
We just don't have time for it. You've ran out of time. 5 years, mate, and finally you've ran out of time.
Hit me with a couple more. Give me more of the. I want more criticism.
I'll finish the FPL episode and then I'll get you more criticism. Okay, so the FPL bit. Sorry. Macaroni and Cheese FC, Andrew Walters won the league. Unbelievable. Andrew Lugicki, or Snoop Doggy Dog was second. And Clarence Malseidorf, Jamie Malseed, had an unbelievable score. Finished third in our league, won loads of his money leagues. And he's our mate, and he was third. I mean, out of 300 or whatever it is. So brilliant. Criticism, I'm not going to go find it and read it out because you tell me I don't do prep, and I actually did a lot of prep for this episode. Instead, I'll just give it to you. My criticism to you, Matt, is for 3 years, you've told me you didn't want to do this podcast. Finally, I tell you, before Christmas, the 200 episodes probably going to be our last weekly one. And every now and again, maybe we'll do a bonus episode. Today, 20, 30 minutes before I'm doing this, maybe an hour before, you go, what? You never said that. You're being selfish now. We're going to continue doing it. The answer is no, we're not, Matt. You're late. You annoy me. You cut me off. We're best friends. We're two best friends who hate each other but love Forest. And that's never going to change. But I'm not going to do it weekly with you anymore, and you're not going to do it weekly with me. And the criticism is you need to take that on board and take on board all the work that I've done. You really, and I mean that. I mean that because I know you did the work. I know you did the work early on, but the last 3 years, I've been dragging you, kicking and screaming throughout this absolute godforsaken mess. You don't know how long it takes to post social media stuff. You don't know how long it takes to do the copy. You claim that I never edit, but I've edited quite a lot actually. And you know what? I'm slower editing than you, so it takes me more time. So you know what, Matt? I'm not asking for credit, but I'm going to give you criticism. And we're going to leave our last ever weekly episode on sort of that note. If you ask me to write a script of the podcast or this season, if you ask me to write a script of this season, this is how it would go. Forest get European football. This is the beginning. If you ask me in the beginning, Forest get European football. The Premier League nominations are littered with Forest players. United finish bottom half on 40-something points. We win at Old Trafford. We win at Anfield. We beat Man City. Forest make history, doubling their points tally from one season to the next. Elanga scores the winner against Man United. And maybe Brennan manages to score in the Europa League final against them. If you asked me to write a perfect script, I couldn't write it better than that. If you asked me to write a perfect script for the podcast, it would be get promoted, survive relegation, beat Man United, beat Liverpool, get European football, connect a community of Forest all over the world fans. And finally, the last thing I would write is stay friends with Matt. And I think we're still mates. And I think that's a good way to sign off. Hit the music. I'll thank all the guests and we'll leave.
Thanks so much for listening, everyone. Believe it or not, it's been I love making content, especially with Chris. And I don't think this is goodbye. Just see you later.
Okay. And we'll hit the music. Thanks to all the guests. I'm going to list them straight away. Jordan Thielen in Toronto. Josh Hayes. Dev, the Huddersfield fan. Joe Sims, the Bristol fan. Mark Smith. John Michael in Hawaii at the time. Glenn in Australia. Justin from Second Year Podcast. Evan McMillan, my friend, the League of Ireland player. Ben in Bermuda. Mark in South Africa. Kevin and Paul from LGBTQ plus Trickies. Simon from Bahamas. May Moncaster and Sophie Tudor from the women's team. Dan White from NFFC New York. Oliver, who was based in China at the time, Stephen Roach, my mate, Brian Roy, Milan Milanovic from Serbia, Matt Davies, who first appeared on our podcast over 3 years ago now. I'll hope to continue to do some Forest focus with him. Travelling Blade, the Sheffield United fan who wanted to throw the mug against the wall. We've got brothers Ryan and Will in Toronto, Victor from Punjabi Forest, Barstool Chief Ryan, Chris from Dubai Trickies, Davis the Newcastle fan, JJ and Jacob from Mist Rolling In Podcast, Arthur the Spurs fan, Pete the Man City fan, Chris Greenhill the Leicester fan, Joe Tuck, Jamie Martin and Jamie Samuel, Ben Dorr from Dorantor, Taz in Tanzania, Jacob, Dave, and Homer from Ohio Trickies, Jimmy, our ex-flatmate, the Sounds fan, a Paraguayan Tricky who left a translated voice note, Daryl Porter, the FPL winner, Mark in Australia, Bruce in Texas, Owen Puller, the Chelsea fan, Sarah Thompson, the legend, Brian Boyle from Chicago, Greg Mitchell from Forza, Ross Taylor from Texas, Mark in Montreal, Satch from Fan Park UK, Jan Stabik, the NFFC Southwest founder, Ko and Taku from Japan, Richard Spray from Oklahoma, Andrew Cobb of NFFC NA based in Wisconsin, Olivia the Superfan from Chicago, Adam Wicklow from Red Side of the Trent, Elliot Bauer, or Premier Elliot as he's known, Mark Southerns, Dean Jones from Wisconsin, my cousin James, Statsman Will, Edwin the Man United fan who came on as a guest and trolls me all the time, Alex and Culhane, the other United fans who troll me, my brother Will the Arsenal fan, Al Clayton who did our Christmas music and was a big supporter of the podcast to start, Justin Forsley who did our intro music, check his stuff out, my wife Karina who's been unbelievable, absolutely really special. I don't know why she let me do this weekly thing for so long, but she is an absolute legend. She understands my superstitions and my ways, and she is my heart. I don't stop people, it's the truth. All our friends, you know who you are. You've listened and messaged over the years. Savraj, Dave Sanders. If I'm missing someone, I'm sorry.
You've missed a guest.
Which guest?
Robbie Hamilton.
Robbie Hamilton.
Long-time listener and twice on the show.
Was he on the show? I don't think he was ever on the show.
He was on the show.
No, he wasn't.
He was.
He wasn't. He might have sent voice notes and he was never on the show. Ever. Anyway, that shows you how much you've been doing.
We deserved a shout out from his.
Okay, well, shout out to Robbie Hamilton, who's an absolute legend, who works with me and Matt. We produced a short film.
He directed our short film. 2 of mine.
I know. Can we move on? Thank you, Robbie. Robbie, you know I love you. All other Forest podcasts who work so hard to bring us content who have supported us.
Yeah, you got to throw Wolfie in there, man.
I'll name them all. Talking Reds, Red Side of the Trent.
Relentlessly.
He did. To be fair to Wolf, I was going to get to him. To be fair to Wolf, he did. He's supported us relentlessly.
It's like massive.
I was about to list them all, but you jumped over me, right?
Yeah, he got his numbers back.
Yeah, and Matt Davies and Forest Focus, he's been very supportive. Talking Reds, Richard Spray and Greg Orham, Red Side of the Trent, Adam Wicklow, Reese, all them, they've been fantastic. Every podcast. Missed Rolling In, JJ and Jacob were on the podcast. They were great supporters of ours at the beginning, and all the other podcasts I will miss because there's some that started and stopped throughout that period of time.
Some of them had our backs. That 1865 one had our backs once, didn't they?
They had our backs big time once on Reddit, so massive shout out to them. Can I get through this without you stopping me?
Well, I'm just trying to make sure you don't leave anyone out. People will be now listening going, oh shit, what about me? What about me? As I would.
Yeah, but unfortunately, the people will get left out because you
well done on the prep on this, by the way. It's a great list. But yeah.
I want to thank all our followers and listeners who I've become friends with many of today.
Laura, who's been
Laura, brilliant. Yeah, she listens. It's been great. Adam Marchenko, who played Forest Fantasy Football. Loads of people. If I miss you, I'm sorry, but thank you. You know who you are. I message and reach out and stuff.
Crypto, Ez, and Ant.
Well, I mean, I don't speak to them. You do, but we'll give them a shout out.
They're in shout out to us all the time. So come on.
Okay, well, I'll give them a shout out. There's no whatever. Anyway, look, I'm not saying whatever. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just saying I can't. I have a different list here, and you're cutting me off in the list. Finally, obviously, my dad passed away at the start of the year. I'm not going to make this all soppy and be sentimental. Everyone has their issues, but he passed away a couple of weeks before the season started, and I really attached this season to sort of that feeling and tried to get really busy with it. And as a result, I invested myself heavily in Forest. I do anyway, but it was a bit of a bigger deal for me based on the circumstances that happened. So I just want to, I think he's probably proud of me. I always tried to get him to listen to the podcast, even though he never really knew what was going on with it. But I think he probably is proud of me, and your parents have been very supportive as well, Matt, and your sister who listens to the podcast. So Andrea, yeah, Andy. Yeah, Andy. Final thing, my final thank you is to...
Wait, the guys at Chelsea, the fans that recognise us at Chelsea, that was a nice moment.
Jesus Christ. Right,
hey,
those
Dave
fans.
Sanders!
I've said Dave Sanders, all right? Finally, I'd like to, my final thank, guess who my final thanks is? Can you guess who it's to? You probably don't know this person. My final thanks...
To me.
Is to Matt.
I knew it. I know you.
I'd like to thank you for being the best friend I love to hate Forest with. We'll use this platform to continue promoting Forest All Over the World fans. You might see me or Matt on other podcasts, primarily Forest Focus, where I do some post matches semi-regularly, and maybe, just maybe, you'll see Matt and I do a live episode from somewhere in your maybe.
I think we should be like the Forest Focus spin-off show. You know how like at The Traitors or The Apprentice have like You're Fired. Or...
I know you're doing Cheers and Fraser, but just shut up for a second and let me.
Also, I need somewhere to keep the Forest Fantasy 5s game, as I'm going to grow it and get the graphics.
You're not going to do anything with it because you haven't even finished it for this episode. So you're not going to do anything with it.
Master up, and Matt Davies has clearly won it.
Matt Davies has won, but you're not going to do anything with it because you didn't do it this year.
And I did do it. I did so much. I do it all manually with data and maths. It takes hours. I'm going to.
Where are the final results for the final weekly episode?
I'll have to post it out to them, to you, because we need to know where James.
Exactly.
Well, you wouldn't let me delay this week's episode. It's all on your terms, as always. Always on your terms. It has to be today. It needs to be now. It needs to be when I'm doing it. But I do thank you as well, Chris, because it's been a real pleasure doing this podcast. We and you will keep arguing once this podcast is over, so we've got no worry about that. But it's been fun, mate. We'll do our next project together. We're about to embark on another short film together. We've done a lot of stuff together. This has been a 5-year project that has been different to our usual skill set, but yeah, what a laugh it's been. It is sad. There is some emotion to it, but not too much when you look at the perspective of it. It's not like we're never... It's like, yeah... just another project that we've done, and I don't even think it's the end, as I've said before. But well done on the montages, well done on the goodbye list. Let's leave it at that, I think, because I doubt anyone's still listening.
Yeah, they're probably not, let's be honest.
It's a long list.
Follow us at Forest All Over, at NFFC All Over, and Extra Forest.
I don't know why you're asking people to follow after you said we're never doing an episode.
We might do an episode in the future, who knows? And also, we're going to continue...
Exactly.
We're going to continue to promote Forest All Over the World people on that platform. You're not going to do anything because you don't do anything anyway. You talk about terms, or you don't have any terms. Right. Let's end it there, mate. Thank you, everyone. Everyone who's listened, you've been legend. I've given a long list. Let's get out of here.
You are the heart and soul of this podcast, and it's your voice that we're going to miss. Those rants are amazing. That's why I do this. It's why I bother. See you later.
Bye-bye.